I'm just gonna tell the group that we're a hard stop until.
Yeah, Kate won't need long to just bring her laptop in and plug in. Microphone. Well, because for the micro, the speaker actually has headphones. Yes, do you use optional speakers?
Headphones, yes or no? Yes.
Let me pause this. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Sounds good. Okay.
Hi, Kate.
Testing.
Yep. Sounds good.
How are you?
Good.
Yeah.
Testing. Testing.
I dropped off shoes for Souls. And then I talked to the deputy clerk. I want to get mom off the rolls
Testing.
for election.
Testing.
She can't make decisions.
Oh.
Oh my God. last
Testing.
night I got-
Yep.
Well, she's going to look into it.
Linda's mic sounds good.
Thanks.
Thank you.
No problem.
She can look into it, probably not, but I mean, I got a call last night at 8:30, like, well, Sheila thinks I'm crazy for,
Recording. Good. How are you doing? Are you still somewhere warm?
yeah.
Boo. Yeah, boo. Boo is right.
I was back home Mondays and I got a little taste of it, so I'm happy.
Yeah.
We're getting more this weekend.
So Sandy was there yesterday. Sorry.
Yeah.
Cool.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I really enjoyed it, but that's
Good.
what get out.
Yeah.
Get away because you're stuck.
Yeah. Well, very good.
Yeah, so she's done many of them.
Good.
Almost all.
Yeah, there's some folks that sign up for every class. It's like, and Sue's
She's
just
been
amazed.
Well,
That's great.
one complaint to you guys,
Mm,
there was only one on the list
mm.
that was during the hours of the interurban.
Oh, okay.
So get more on Saturdays sometimes.
Okay, we'll see what we can do. Let's see, I had Patrick there a second ago. Where did he go? Patrick,
I should sit with Linda.
there's Rana.
See the gang. I just naturally gravitated.
There they
to
are.
My old seat.
I'm sorry.
I gravitated to my old seat.
Yeah, it's just a natural
And I
natural
should sit over
habit.
there so I can see Patrick.
Sure.
and
Yep, as
Kathy.
long as you got a microphone in front of you so people can hear you,
Okay.
that will be good. Hi, everybody.
Hello.
Hi, everybody.
Hi there.
Hello.
See, we're waiting on a few people and I know that Rosemary's gonna dial in at some point in time.
Rosemary.
Rosemary Graham from Allegan County. Yeah, Rana, your job is to remind me that I promised to write that article, okay?
I'll do that on Saturday morning.
Or
Give
actually,
you maybe Friday. Would you prefer that?
yeah, because as soon as I walk out of here, it's gonna go into the empty void that is my brain.
I understand.
I'm gonna leave myself a note here. Article, Household Hazardous Waste Day. Okay. I'll see if I can possibly remember. Yeah, you're in charge of reminding me.
You feel better for a while.
And Patrick, I got your stuff, but I didn't have time to print it off, but I was at another meeting, so sorry about that.
That's
So
all right. Don't necessarily need it.
I'll have you take us through it a
Me
little
too.
bit when we get to
And
that
tested
point.
a lot for
Yeah.
the operation.
Let's see. Daniel,
In fact, I went to the SCA. If you even buy tickets, they're gonna want to know that you're vaccinated
Yeah.
or that you've had a test within a period of time.
Yeah, usually 72 hours, but
But if you have the vaccine, they'll ask you one time and they'll put it in the computer. So,
a lot of music venues in Grand Rapids are still that way.
I think it's great.
It is.
let's see, where's Daniel? Here for technology, because I think most everybody's gonna dial in today.
Yeah. It's just 3 out of the 4 Saugatuck people are in-house.
Yeah, it's easy for us.
Yeah,
Kelly's on vacation. I think she's on vacation.
I saw she wanted to.
All right, let's see.
I did not dig deep enough to find the February 9th minutes.
Yeah, I don't think we got the minutes from the 9th.
Okay.
That was the presentation with the recycling.
Onboarding.
Yeah, the recycling.
yeah.
part.
Oh, that's my fault. I don't think I ever sent them to you, Gern.
That's okay. If you have them, that's fine. We can.
Yep, I'll send them.
Well, don't worry. We'll do double duty.
Yeah.
We'll just do February and March. and-
Okay.
How's that?
My apologies.
Oh, 5 lashes with a wet noodle
Oh,
girl.
man.
I mean, it's just traumatic when we
We're gonna
don't have
cut-
our minutes.
We're gonna cut your pay.
All right, let me get Rosemary. Yay, Rosemary.
Daniel, how you doing?
Hey,
All right.
good to see ya.
Want to sit over here to
Okay, I
see
know
the
Rosemary's
people
here
on the
somewhere.
screen?
There she is. All right, how you doing? Good, good. Hi, Rosemary, how are you? Muted, you're muted, hon.
Huh? Good, how are you?
There you go.
Hi, I'm good. Yeah, thanks. Just
Hi.
back-to-back meetings, so hopping off one and onto this one.
All good. All good. So I'm going to go ahead and get started because we have limited time in this room. We have a 3 o'clock public hearing for the
Oh.
trail for that grant. So I want to try to really be done and hand over this spot for the city hall staff so we can set up for that. So basically calling the meeting to order. Kathy sees who's here. I know that we have Demetrius not with us. She's, I think, out of town. Kelly's out of town. Patrick's on. Ron is on. I think that's it. And then we've got Barry here, Linda here, Daniel here, and Garn. So Kathy, go for it. Public comment, we don't really have anybody, so I'm just gonna move right ahead unless somebody interrupts me. The minutes from the 9th we'll have ready. We'll just do approval of 2 sets of minutes in April. That's why I love you all. The agenda, pretty straightforward. Any changes? Nope, very good. Y'all are awesome. Okay, with that, we're gonna get right to Rosemary. So Rosemary is gonna do a presentation to us. We're kind of the guinea pigs. She is actually presenting to city council at 4 o'clock about the recycling surcharge. And I wanted to give her a chance to run this presentation by us and have us kind of ask questions and see if it's clear, if it makes sense. Does that sound right, Rosemary? What we agreed? Are you good?
Yeah, and I definitely want everyone to know that there are more funding options available than just the PA 69 in the election and the packet that went out from the county. So there are other options to fund recycling as
All right.
well. So, yeah.
Okay, I'm turning it over to you and you just tell me when to go to the next page.
Okay, and how many minutes do you want me to keep it to, just so I can?
10.
10, okay. All right, yep. Go ahead and go to the next page. And so I presented to Douglas and I am presenting to Saugatuck later about the option to participate in PA 69 to fund recycling. And so that's just one option that's available. And I want to make sure that everyone feels well educated because every community is different. And so that's where this PowerPoint comes in, or this presentation comes into play. So I'm just going to quickly go over the introductions, local options, different types of partnerships, grants, different resources, and answer any questions. Then go ahead and go to the next slide.
Okay.
And so I kind of touched on this. There's more than one funding mechanism. The state actually has even more than what's in this presentation, but these seem to be what I think would work in Allegheny County. So we can go ahead and go on to the next slide. So when you partner with the county, the Allegheny County Resource Recovery Program uses PA 69 of 2005. And essentially what that means is that through an interlocal agreement between a local municipality and the county, the local municipality may collect up to $25 per household. That just has to be by a board or council action, or they can put it out to vote and collect up to $50 per household. At the $25 level, households could opt out if they didn't want to pay it. At the $50 level, it's voted. So just like anything else that's voted in, it applies to everyone and everyone pays it. One factor with choosing to go with this, because I know that there are some single hauler agreements in the Saugatuck and Douglas area. The program is designed currently for the municipalities that participate, that money that's collected, so the majority of it actually goes towards paying for a curbside program or a drop site program. And so what that would look like, rather than individuals receiving an invoice from their hauler, like Republic, rather than getting your Kirby bill for recycling, everyone would be part of one municipal invoice. And so like in Monterey Township, residents call, they join the program, they get a cart, but they don't get a bill. It's all paid for through one bill, and it's comes out of these funds. And then what's left over, we use for other services, which I can talk more about if we have questions, but if the expenditures of a municipality exceed the revenue, the county does invoice for the difference. So we don't have any guarantees that this will cover all of your fees, but it does offset the cost. So, it's kind of saving your general fund. But your general fund would be sort of a backup or I guess like a safety net if the expenditures exceed the revenue. And usually the curbside and drop sites about 80%, and then everything else is about 20%. And a handful of municipalities, particularly like the $25 amount, they exceed their revenue, their expenditures exceed their revenue. Okay, so we can head to the next slide. And so another interlocal partnership that the county has, particularly right now with Reusable, if you're interested in who we have the agreement with, we partner with Reusable Township to only provide household hazardous waste service and event services. So what that looks like is a resident can call at any time, bring things into our permanent facility, and I'll accept those. Their residents can participate in our events and bring household hazardous waste and electronics. What Reusable through our agreement does is they pay us two different fees. One is an annual fee for administering the program for them. So, managing finances, communications, customer service with their residents, advertising, organizing, all of those things. And then the other is for usage. So as their residents use those services, we record that. And then when an invoice comes in for household hazardous waste or electronics, we charge that portion back to the township. And so the county initially pays that invoice, but then we invoice the township for whatever amount that is. And so that's how that sort of agreement would
Question.
work.
Question on that?
Yeah, question? Can we take questions right now?
Sure.
Go ahead, Barry.
So Reusable Township only participates in the household hazardous waste day. What did you invoice them for that?
It varies from year to year. So the current rate, and it hasn't been changed or updated it in many, many years, but we charge $1.24 per household for the administrative. So annually they pay $1.24 per household as an administrative fee, and they have I think that usually comes to about $1,600. And then for participation, it can range anywhere from a low, they've been just over 1,000 to a high, I think was like still less than 3,000. I think it might have been 3,500 for the most that they've ever had in a year. I'd have to go back and look for sure, but it's not more than that. So,
Yeah, because, we've ran a very successful one for 3 communities. So we have a benchmark, to work with. We know what it costed us. And so, cost benefit, running with the county on that would be something we would look at. Yeah.
Mhm.
yeah, and then something else to factor in when you're looking at that is the location of the event. If your residents have to drive further, fewer of them will show up. You're going to end up, spending less because you're going to have less usage. Whereas if we're opted to or held a local event, your usage is going to be higher. And so the cost will be higher. So just keep that in
If
mind.
we had an interlocal agreement with the 3 communities and wanted to host one here, like we have last year and will again this year, this would be an example of that.
We could do that. Yes, we could build that into our agreement. And honestly, with the Hamilton site closing, that's where we do hold one annual event. We might be looking at, the county is probably going to be looking for another spot to host an event anyway. So that would probably align really well.
Okay, all right. Okay, local option. You want to
Sure. Yep. So now we're getting into some options that you may all have more knowledge of than myself. So I'm just going to present them as an option with what I know, but I'm not a voting, tax, or finance expert, or recycling coordinator, but local option that some cities and charter townships have is to use a millage. And so there's an example of some communities that use a millage. The city of Otsego, they actually use a millage and recycling surcharge. So they're collecting both from their residents. I'm not exactly sure what their millage amount is, but they collect $25 per household for the program, and residents can opt out of that. And they fund the household hazardous waste collection. They have a curbside program that they handle locally. They have a transfer station where they're collecting things for their residents. They participate in events. The only thing that they don't participate in are those regional depot sites like that Hamilton site that closed in Broken Arrow and Salem, because they have a transfer station. So they actually have the ability to opt out of that. So they don't pay for those services. And so that's another funding mechanism. If they didn't collect the recycling surcharge, they wouldn't participate in our events. They wouldn't have household hazardous waste collection. And then they would have a little bit, less funding. They'd solely be relying on their millage, and they do kind of handling everything in-house. So that's one option. We can head to the next slide.
quick question about that.
Yeah.
Does Otsego have a single hauler contract?
I believe that they do. So the county doesn't really keep track of that. That's not required in our solid waste management plan. So we don't necessarily keep track of that, and it's not reported to us. But they do, I believe for weight, I believe for trash services, they have Best Way or Republic. And for
Okay.
recycling, they have only Best Way as their service provider.
Okay, all right, thank you. All
Yeah.
right, can we move ahead?
Yes.
Based, okay.
So fee-based, Eaton County does something like this, and basically the municipality passes an ordinance that haulers will place a fee on invoices. And so in Eaton County, I can't remember exactly what it is, or, maybe like 53 cents. I'd have to look it up. But every invoice, there is a solid waste management fee, and it's collected on invoices. So it goes to the hauler, and then the hauler transfers that to a municipality. So fee base, there are other municipalities that use a version of that as well, but that's the community that's really closest to us that uses that. And then they have money for whatever recycling services they want through that ordinance requiring that fee on invoices. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Okay. And next.
Special assessment. Okay.
Yeah, and so special assessments, again, like I don't work in this area, so I don't completely, I don't know very much about social assessments, but it is an option that the state of Michigan allows for municipalities that are able to utilize special assessments. Salem Township has actually moved to that. They wanted, I think, a little bit more control and oversight over their recycling. They have that transfer station that we partner with them. So rather than being part of the resource recovery program through collecting that recycling surcharge, they've decided to go with a special assessment. Another factor kind of influencing that is that the county board sets the rate of either $50 for the residents to vote on, and Salem Township may have felt that was a little too high for their residents, so their special assessment is $40 per property. They can also make the decision to include businesses or not include businesses, whereas the county has, through the county's program, we don't include businesses, it's residential only. So special assessment is just another option that a municipality has to fund recycling in the state of Michigan, and it gives that municipality a little bit more control over the specifics.
Yeah, we're doing something here locally, special assessment for the milfoil treatment specific to the folks on the lake. So, yeah.
Okay.
Okay. All right. Next one.
And there's a whole spreadsheet, or not a spreadsheet, a whole document just about recycling and special assessments and the whole process that you have to go through in the next page on the resources, if that's something you wanted to know more about. But grants, so almost to the end here, there are a lot of grants out there from a lot of different sources for different things, and they come and they go, and sometimes they're great for, and I know that you all have looked at grants, so I don't really need to spend too much time on this slide. We know that they're not really a sustainable long-term funding mechanism, but they're really great to kind of get things off the ground and moving in the right direction.
Okay. All right.
And then these are resources from the presentation. So if someone wants to learn more about any of those options or questions, this is where I gathered all the information that's in the report, including the special assessment specifically for recycling.
Thank you. All right. So Rosemary, really quickly at 4 o'clock, really what all I need you to do is to talk about the situation that's in front of us right now as a municipality, which is to consider this recycling surcharge, right?
Okay.
And I get it. All of us who are sitting here understand that because we've been up to our eyebrows in this stuff for 2 years, but most of the folks that'll be sitting there won't understand why would we even consider this? So maybe a little bit of background on how this has come up to be, that the Allegan County Commissioners have said, okay, municipalities, you can put this on the ballot. Why would that even, how have we gotten there? And what does that mean then to us? Does that make sense?
I think so. I guess knowing a little bit more about the city of Saugatuck specifically, like why would the city have gotten to this point, I guess? Like I know why the county has gotten to this point, but why has the city of Saugatuck gotten to the point where they want to consider this now as opposed to, a few years ago when it was an option?
Okay, so you want me to tell you right now?
Sure.
Basically where we are right now is a single hauler contract that contract ends next year, 2023. I think it's April. I'm looking at Barry. He's nodding.
Yep.
So we are still under contract with Republic for both waste and recycling. So that's where we are. But as a tri-community recycling committee, we have a couple of things going. It's kind of almost a perfect storm. We have Douglas, the city of Douglas, whose contract expires in November. And then we have the township, which has no single hauler contract. So we are right now at a place where, as a result of what we've done with this committee, we're recognizing that there's a number of things that our constituents would really like. Number one, is they'd like more than once a month recycling pickup. That's the first one. Number two is the household hazardous waste day. Folks really like and would probably take better advantage of it if it were available. So the reason that I wanted you to talk a little bit about with the council about this is so that it's in their head. We're kind of placing that bug, if you will, that we have an option. We have another option besides just contracting with a Republic or a similar entity for recycling. Does that make sense?
Yeah, no, that's very helpful.
Yeah, this surcharge is an option to consider. And
Yeah.
would you guys agree? I'm looking at the group.
Yeah, historically, the city had been a member years and years ago. We opted out because we didn't see the benefit for the buck. And then we went single waste hauler, and I don't know if we paid even $20 for the recycling part on our yearly bill. I mean, what advantage is it going with the county versus what we're already getting for a very reasonable rate? I have 2 recycling bins and I don't pay $20 a month, or a year even,
Yeah.
So again, I wonder what's changed with the county that makes it a better deal than it was when we opted out years ago. I don't see any change over the years.
What would be the advantage? And this was one of the questions I sent you. What would be the advantage for us to go in this direction?
Yeah. And so it sounds like, if you have a reasonable rate for curbside, that's great, but it definitely sounds like there's a gap. And I get the call a lot for the gap for household hazardous waste services. And so, that might be something that as a caveat to the recycling surcharge as a whole, trying to look more at that household hazardous waste only agreement structure. The funding mechanism would have to be a little bit different though, because we would require, based on the way the program was built and established, that there was a drop site for curbside or a municipal, wide single invoice for everyone. But essentially we have household hazardous waste collection. We have a permanent facility. We do host those events, and we are also at a point where we will, probably be looking for another location. So if the 3 communities were to join the program, then it would make sense to move a collection to that area, one of the events.
Yeah, I guess I'm not seeing any real change in what we've seen over the years. It may be more of a option for the township because you may be harder to wrangle people to a single hauler, but working through the county to get township-wide recycling is more of an option maybe for you guys. We get just a super deal from Republic because we gave them the contract for the city, so. But I'm seeing pretty much the same program that we've seen over the years. And I just don't see a cost benefit at this point.
So basically, Rosemary, this was the Allegan County Commissioners coming back to the municipalities and saying, okay, you can put this on the ballot if you so choose. And they have to be the entity to say, yes, you can do that. Right? So
Yeah, there's local control over determining whether or not to place it on the local ballot. Yes.
Okay. All right. And I might set it up that way at 4 o'clock then, so folks understand what's going on. That right now, I'll explain a little bit where we are with our current contract. And then, basically say this is a regular thing that occurs when the Allegan County Commissioners basically reach out to the municipalities and say, okay, we've given you approval to place this on the ballot if you so choose. Does that make sense?
Yes. Yep. It does. Yep. And yep.
Okay, other questions? Yeah, go ahead, Daniel.
Hi, Rosemary. It's Daniel DeFranco.
Hi, Daniel.
How are
See
you?
how she smiles.
I'm great.
It sounds like with over Heisel Township that there might be like more of like an à la carte option for municipalities in Allegan. Is that kind of, did I understand that right?
Yes, yeah. And the program is moving more towards à la carte. So the, I'm one person at the county for all of these municipalities. So expanding services and having more events and more types of services, it's difficult when it's just me. I'm basically at capacity. So if they wanted to spend, municipalities want to spend more money on more services, we would need more people. But so that's kind of why we're a little constrained in fleshing out the program a little bit more. But we are looking more and more and have made moves to make things more a la carte. So the household hazardous waste with over ISIL is one of those examples. And the other is the resource recovery depot sites, those collection sites, and giving municipalities the option, if they participate, not to utilize that service.
Yeah.
So that would be a benefit of a surcharge participation, wouldn't it, to a municipality that folks they get a card and then they can actually drop items off at, what is it, Black Arrow? I think.
Broken Arrow, yep. Yeah, so that's for hard or difficult to recycle items. So yeah, besides the household hazardous waste, I do get quite a few calls for difficult to recycle items. And right now I send those residents to PADNOS basically. But we do have, and they're paying out of pocket. And so that works for some, but not for everyone. Especially, if there's a financial component to being able to afford to do that. But through the program, in our partnership with Broken Arrow Recycling, a resident could take a card and recycle tires, electronics, large or small television, and 2 appliances per year, and styrofoam as well.
All right.
Rosemary, what kind of events were you running, like drop-off events in Hamilton at the site that closed?
Yeah, so our events right now are household hazardous waste and electronic collection events. If we looked at including other or more items, and so some counties do have, like they call them Recycle-Rama, and they have lots of different items that can be dropped off. I'm always open to that, but again, it comes back to needing the support of the community, and so to have people show up that day and work with me, because oftentimes, Ben would run events by himself. And so I do have some support from my coworkers, but sometimes that's limited. And so I really only have the capacity right now for that on my own. But if we knew that, we were going to have events in the Saugatuck area and that, this group or other individuals were going to come out that day and assist with things as simple as traffic flow, because we don't want, anyone playing bumper cars at our events. Then we could have more, we could offer more options to residents. Yeah.
Okay, very good. Anybody online have a question for Rosemary? All right, Rosemary, I'll see you at 4:00.
Okay.
Okay, very good. I'll probably touch base with you before then if I have time.
Okay. Yep. And I'm in the area. I'm at your library right now. So.
Oh, okay. Well, do you want to just come here in person?
Yeah, I'll come for the 4:00 meeting, and I'll probably head that way a little early.
Awesome. That's great. All right, very good. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Bye.
All right, a couple things, and I'm keeping my eye on the clock. So a couple things to update you all on. The recycling partnership grant, some fun news, some good news. Jack, I spoke with Jack Brown, if not last week, the week before, because after our discussion with Cassandra, I began to fret about having to check every single recycle bin. I'm like, I do not know how we are going to be able to do this, even if it's a quick glance. So I followed up with Jack, and Jack is actually looking into the possibility, and it sounded very positive, of picking up the recycling from just our 3 municipalities and have it delivered to the MRF for those 4 times during the summer. Yeah. So then that means instead of us checking every single dang bin, we would go up to the MRF and get to play in the recycling stuff and be able to do it.
It's our sample, yeah.
That's our
Mhm.
sample. So,
Sweet.
yeah, that's in the works and I'll follow up with
That does
him.
sound-
That saves us a lot of time and energy. I know I did the same thing. I'm like, oh, thank God.
I
'Cause
do it,
and Daniel knows this and Ronna knows this. I was about ready to tell him, hey, we cannot do this year. It's just, it is.
And I'm
just
sorry,
not.
with my vision, I don't glance.
Oh, and I got
so,
your, yeah, I got your email. Yeah, that you would be funny, wouldn't you? Yeah, don't see anything. Go on.
Yeah, not there. Whatever.
Yeah,
Everything's clean.
yeah. So that, stay tuned, but it's looking very
Ah.
positive. I'll follow up with Jack.
Nice.
Yeah, if it doesn't happen, and it felt really, really good that it was going to happen, but if it doesn't happen, then I'll let you all know, but then I will ask Cassandra for.
Yeah, that's two birds with one stone, because I'm still just itching to go see that place in
Yeah,
action. You know, I've seen the
absolutely.
video and all that, but to see it and,
Yeah,
you know.
cool. Okay.
Hey,
so
Garn.
that's- Yes.
Garn,
who's
it's
that?
Kelly.
Ronna?
Hi, everybody.
Hi, Kelly.
So real quick, so you're saying we wouldn't have to do any percentage of flipping the tops of the cans? This would all be on a conveyor belt? So it would just be however many of us required at the MRF?
Yes, correct.
Okay, got it.
Yeah, unless you really feel strongly, Kelly, about going.
No, oh, I do not. That's why I want to confirm.
Yeah, that's what that means. So I'll let y'all know. Okay. The second one, Household Hazardous Waste Day. Good news about bad news that you didn't know about other than Ron and Daniel. So Drug and Lab Disposal, who did our Household Hazardous Waste Day for us, I reached out to them at the beginning of the year and said, hey, we're looking forward to doing another Household Hazardous Waste Day. And Terry came back and said, oh, darn, we are very short-staffed and we have no availability the rest of this year. I know. So I was like, oh, okay. So then I just kind of sat on it for a while and got around to the same thing. It's like, I don't think we're going to be able to do a Household Hazardous Waste Day. Talked to Jim with the Rotary. He's like, Garn, we already got that $10,000 from Rotary International. It's sitting there. I don't want to give it back.
Yeah.
So I then reached out to a couple people. Dan Boersma from Holland, he's with their sustainability program. He was fantastic. Rosemary, Ken Freestone, a couple other people, and said, what other entities are out there to do household hazardous waste? Dan sent me, literally everybody ended up sending me the names of the same entities. So I heard back from, I talked to three entities. One is ERG, ERG Environmental Services. They're out of Livonia, but they have an office in Grand Rapids. I actually got a bid from them after talking to a very nice gentleman by the name of Ed. And then I talked to Mark McDonald with US Ecology. I don't know where they're out of. They have a Grand Rapids location as well. Yeah, they're Livonia as well. Got two quotes for them, one for weekday, one for weekend. And then I'm waiting on a bid from Damon Schrock with Crystal Clear, Crystal Clean. And so I'm waiting on a third bid. Yeah.
Good for you.
Yeah, so, and they can all do electronics, Ronna, they can all do electronics. So Ronna went and got a bid from Comprenew out of Holland for Justin Electronics.
I love
household,
them.
Waste, yeah, and actually, when I get the last quote back from Crystal Clean, I'll see literally how it compares, but right now Comprenew has a really good price on a lot of this electronics, and it might serve us well to do a household hazardous waste like day, and then the next day just electronics, or the first couple hours household hazardous waste. Well, we can figure this out, but I think we'll be able to do a household hazardous waste. So all of them were, Earth Day is out of the question. Everybody wants to do an event on Earth Day. I was like, fine, whenever. It looks like this spring is doable. They highly recommend doing it on a weekday, not a weekend, because on the weekends they have to play overtime. They have to pay their
Oh.
staff overtime.
Hmm.
So, and they're like, hey, we could run it from 3 to 6. We could run it from 3 to 7. We could do it from 2 to 7. You just tell us. And that's my question for you all really quickly. My preference is if it's going to be cheaper to do it in the weekday, If we do it in the late afternoon and early evening, we hit folks that can come both kind of times. And once I get this third bid back, I've got it in a spreadsheet, kind of side by side comparison. I think it'll be pretty clear who we want to go with. So if you'll stay tuned on that, but we went from famine to feast in a hot second, which was really, really good. So we're going to do a household hazardous waste day. So
Just not on the 23rd.
not on the 23rd, but it'll be, as soon as I get a good sense from these guys, they said, just let us know when. And so I need to, what's nice is we have a choice, actually. So my sense is right now, based on what I got out of clarity, this ERG environmental, the Ed Dawkins was probably the most clear cut. He wasn't going to charge me for each semi, each staff member. They just had a site fee. It wasn't a whole lot of nitpicky. When Vicky looked at it, she goes, I don't know that he really wants to do yours because this other guy had just charges for everything. I'm like,
No.
So we'll see what Damon comes back with Crystal Clean, and then we'll go from there. Sound good?
Well
So
done. Thank you.
Yeah, that's looking doable. They were thrilled when I told them how many people we had helping out. They're like, holy cow. So, and then they said, all of them to a person said to expect that every year your event grows. They said it's like people are looking for it, and now they've been saving, and the others who missed it are not going to miss it this year. So to expect, last year we had 280 cars.
Yeah.
So my plan is really quickly, once we settle in on an entity to go with, that I'll approach the 3 municipalities for a little bit of help. And then Jim Sullivan and I will do a little bit of a fundraising to cover the rest. But it looks like it would be similar. If we collected the same amount as we did last year, it'd be about $23,000. That's what it would be. So, okay.
Prices go up.
Yeah, and gasoline, they all took first and said,
Oh,
oh
man.
darn gasoline. I was like, yeah, I get it. It's all good. So that's that. Reusable water bottles. I know Patrick's on the line. He sent me a quote to take a look at. Patrick, you want to say anything about the bottles? You're muted, bud. You're muted.
Quickly, there's a bunch of actually good for the equipment, the various types of bottle fillers is roughly 60% of what their list was showing. So the numbers that we've been talking about are much lower. The big decision on the equipment is whether to go with stainless steel or powder coated. The powder coated are a lot more expensive, but essentially they last a lot longer. They're certainly better designed and a lot better looking. But we'll have to get into that. But it looks like the first stage could get done for as little as $10,000 for the equipment and the installation if we did them in stainless, and about $17,000 for powder coated. There'll probably be some mix of the two.
Wow.
And then the stage 2, the finishing section, was about half of what we thought it would be.
Wow.
And most of that is powder coated, but those units are a lot less expensive than they're quoted. So that turned out to be good. And we'll get you some details on that. The bottles, I did get a quote on aluminum bottles, Rana, so that we can take a look at them. They range between $4 and some change and $5 minus a piece, and the kind of quantities we're talking about. The HDPE bottles are in the 90-cent range. So we're going to have to get involved in that and make that some kind of decision. I'm not so sure we shouldn't do some of both and see what happens. That all's good. Daniel has some information that both municipalities are talking about the possibility of putting some filling units in their buildings. Daniel, wasn't that something you dug up?
Yeah, we're about to, we've started the process of a redesign of the township hall. And I think part of the conversation was that we would like to integrate, elements of sustainability, and then also have the township hall have elements that could serve as a model and inspiration for the community, and especially show off things that we would like to see other developers do. And I think one of those things that we talked about was we don't really have any regular water to serve for the public or even for the board or commissioners when they're at the hall. First it came up, why don't we have a water jug? But this is definitely a lot cooler.
Mhm.
And I think it, definitely sends a stronger message, and it's sustainable. So I would like to have that in the meeting room in the renovated hall, to serve the public, to serve staff and, elected officials, and then have something to kind of show developers when they stop by.
Got it.
We're good
and
to-
Patrick, you're having a little subcommittee meeting next week, did you say?
Next week, yeah, we'll get into all this. And by the way, those units that would go in there and maybe the city hall in Saugatuck are inexpensive. I think they're probably $1,200 or $1,300 installed. So now the bad news, I got everything on a Gantt chart, and I'm sure I've got probably half of the tasks that are involved because there'll be a lot of subs. And we've got a real push time-wise. I'm assuming that once that we can have discussions with the city's managers and get all the knots worked out of this and get some kind of agreement unofficially, and then we'll put this to the cities officially. Is that how that'll work?
Yeah, you'll bring it back to the committee and then we can noodle through it and tear it apart and then decide if we're ready to move forward. Yeah.
So I think our subcommittee can be ready next month to bring a proposal to the committee.
Okay.
And then we could get to the townships with the informal discussions and try to get an approval in their May meetings. That would be the earliest it could get done. And we've got to get funding secured by that time too. And those are pretty high tasks.
Yeah.
In order to get the products ordered and in and installed by July 4th. So that July 4th is the earliest everything goes right goal. And then it just goes after that. There's just too many things that got to get done. So we'll know a lot more after we get together Monday.
All right.
And we'll get back to you guys.
Great. Thank you, Patrick. Rana, Paper Gators.
No update.
Okay. We're just waiting on them, right? It's basically them when they get the units. Okay.
Yep, and when I went to go there for the visit, they had one of them, but they didn't have any more. So I don't know if they ended up placing that somewhere else, and kind of thought it would already be here, but just waiting to hear from her.
Okay. All right. Very good. Okay. I think that's it. That's where we are. New business next up. Comments? Anybody? Questions? Nope.
Nope.
So we have the resolution that's come from the township, just FYI to renew, so that we're actually for real and in existence. So that'll come before council. I think it was in my packet, so we'll probably vote on it here Monday. So we'll be legit again. And that goes through the end of the year, but thank you, Daniel, for taking the lead on that.
Pleasure.
Yeah. And then, Barry said, at some point in time, we do have to become permanent.
Renew
and-
every year. Let's just
Yeah,
make it permanent.
yeah,
Makes it a lot easier.
yeah,
And let's get over the hump this year.
Yeah.
But let's look towards next year,
Mhm.
Yeah.
structuring it so it's just part of the community and.
yeah. All right, very good. Comments from my crew on Zoom. Good to see you all.
Zoom crew.
Anybody, anything to say? Kathy's gonna bring warm weather back from her if she ever returns back. Okay.
It looks like she's got a tan. I can
She's
see it
got a
even from
tan, of
here.
course she's got a tan.
When is our next meeting?
Next meeting is April whatever that second Wednesday is at 2 o'clock. I don't know what the date is. April
13th,
Is that what it is?
2nd.
Yep, 13th.
Yep.
2:00. Right back here.
Yep.
Or on Zoom.
Perfect.
That work for everybody? And I will most definitely have the information I need to go on ahead with Household Hazardous Waste Day. And if you
Nice.
don't mind, I'll go on ahead and make that decision based on the best bid that we get, so that we can get the word out.
Yeah.
And try to schedule as, it'll probably be May again, is what it's looking like, but.
Might be able to, if you said the one guy gives a better rate for electronics than the one.
Yeah, well.
You could maybe stage those on the same day, you know?
Yeah,
You know,
well,
stick
yeah.
one at the far end and the other one's.
Yeah,
up
the
where we
CompuServe, yeah, the Compu, right? Wasn't that what it was? Ron?
Comprenew.
Comprenew. Yeah, that's, if we could logistically figure out how to kind of do them side by each.
Yeah.
Then that would be really, really good.
Yeah.
That's where I got my computer from.
Yeah, yeah, and they're up on the north side of Holland. I was dropping off a FedEx box the other day. I'm like, oh, there they are.
Okay.
She
So,
said,
yeah.
she did say that they're very, very commonly working side by side at the hazardous waste places. So that's not an issue. There's either two separate lines or first there, then the next. So, yeah, that shouldn't be an issue for them.
Yeah, because her prices, my gosh, I mean, they were not gonna charge anything for PCs, laptops, servers, nothing. The only thing they were gonna charge for really is LCD screens, plasmas, LEDs and flat screens, printers, copiers, scanners, CRT monitors, projection monitors. And that was it. Everything else, laptops, servers, PCs, that was nothing.
Yeah, but that's because they resell them.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So I was like, that's perfect. So, but then the other entities, one came back at 50 cents a pound for electronics, which was great. One was at 65 cents per pound for
Not
electronics.
that bad.
It's not bad.
No, it's not that bad.
So, yeah, but that was our heaviest item by far last year. We had 7,000 pounds of electronics.
Wow.
About killed us. Yeah,
Wow.
thank God for Rotary coming forward with a little more money. They saved us.
Wow, that's a lot. That
All right.
beats that hearing aid doctor with the hearing. aid
Yeah,
box.
yeah. All right, everybody. Thank you so much. Good to see
All right.
everybody.
Good to see everyone.
All right.
Bye.
Congratulations on
Thank
your
you.
township thing, you know?
Thank you.
Very
Yeah, I
cool.
forgot I haven't seen you since
I broke my arm.